This is First Contact, Stories of the Call Center.
I know you had referenced back to data point and that moment in time where you were working with frontline agents, and you mentioned that that's really where you had the igniting of passion of helping the frontline agents, improving the relationship between them and the supervisors. What was it about that experience that ignited this passion that you describe? And then also why was that so important?
There was a report that came out a couple of years ago, and I think I've said it in a podcast somewhere. I think that contact centers were number 3. I think contact centers are considered to be the worst job in the world. And I think that's right after, I think it's janitors and garbage truck people. I mean, we're somewhere in the 3rd or 4th position there. And when it first started, when I first started and I got into the business, it was a pretty simple business. It was get them on the phone, get them off. Just get them on the phone, get them off. And that was even before you could get a bank balance, right? Where you could get an IVR to do a bank balance. I mean, it was just get them on the phone, get them off. And they were just, these people were just miserable. They were tied to their desks. The ability to collect data on them was at a time when nobody had their data being collected on them. But contact centers from the very beginning, we've always had the ability to be able to measure everything that they were doing. And it was just abundantly clear to me that people were spending all their time finding somebody doing something wrong. And then they were being managed by frontline leaders that were given the job because they were the best agent that they had. So that was the only place for promotion that you could go. I mean, obviously there were some level 2s, and then of course they had a 15-to-1 or 20-to-1 ratio. So any top highfalutin CEO is got 5-6 people working for he or she. And, and they've got all sorts of training. They've probably been to Wharton, and, they're just smarter than all smart, and they've been really trained. Well, now you've got this frontline supervisor that's got very little training, working with these people that are in a miserable job. And I just felt, I felt empathy for them, which ironically is something that you need to be successful in a contact center. And then we at that time had a report that they created, which we called the Iwakatosa report, which was everything you wanted to know in a single report. And I learned very early on that, that you can't measure by averages, right? Because if I have one leg in hot scalding water and the other leg in freezing cold water, on average, the temperature is fine, but I'm in a lot of pain. And it's kind of the same way with contact centers, right? If I take 5 calls at 10 minutes and 5 calls at just cancel them. On average, I've got a call length of 5 minutes, which could be good, which of course it's disastrous. So I just felt like I had some empathy for the front line and for the supervisors, and just felt like we could make a difference. And at that time, it was making the difference in being able to show them exactly how they were doing, to allow them to say, hey, you know what? I had one really, really long call which screwed up my numbers, and which allowed them to defend themselves. And I just felt like it was that they needed help, and at that time we had something that could help them. And then as time went on, I just, the more time I spent in contact centers, the more I got to meet them, and see people work their way up through organizations. And then, they so many contact center executives today were on the front line, and it just, I just fell in love with the industry and fell in love with the people.